Now I want to get very specific about what the level of disruption is going to be. So when I look out at this and I think about, okay, we're creating something that is going to be smarter than we are, certainly in a narrow way, but possibly in a more general way. But even if it's just narrow, is there going to be any job function that isn't going to be at a minimum augmented by AI? You've got text to video, which still a little awkward, but it's getting better insanely fast. We do all of our concept art now in AI. So we have, as a company that doesn't even have like an AI expert on board, we're just learning as we go. We're already deploying it like crazy. And when I look out, not even, 3 years, when I look out a year, all of this stuff starts to very rapidly become a centralized point. And so we're already saying, I don't need to hire more people. I just need to make my people more efficient. So there's a lot of people that I think are going to get disrupted by this that may not be like the most extreme, but how far down do you see this trickling?
Anything you can do in front of a computer, basically.
Goes away or just becomes augmented?
The bar lifts. The quality expectations are higher. AI is not going to replace humans. Humans with AI will replace humans that don't use AI. Because you can see that in your workflows right now. There was a paper by OpenAI where they estimated 15 to 50% of tasks get automated or improved. And so, it affects people in different ways. The speed of this is something whereby it's happening in every media type at the same time, and it's easy to use. This is just so seamless because there's no friction. Your mum can use this technology. You can use this technology. You don't need to be an expert because it came and was trained from our content and our collective content, as it were. And now it's just easy to implement and use. So I think this is the big differentiator between this and other massive advances because they required infrastructure. The internet, there was the big lift up, You had the consumption period of Web 2 when the cost of consumption dropped to zero. Now the cost of creation is dropping to zero, and humans plus AI can massively outperform humans that don't. It's a forcing function, which means everyone has to use it. And this, again, is dual in that it can be disruptive, but it can also create massive value.
So I guess let me lay out my whole thesis, because I think these are going to be the things we have to contend with. And if people go into this blindly, which I think they're doing right now, I think most people are burying their head in the sand. They're not paying attention to this, and they're going to wait until something really forces their hand, and by then it's too late.
Yeah, the way that I put that is this is like COVID before Tom Hanks.
Yes, very well said.
Everyone's talking about this. Your mum's talking about this. But the Tom Hanks and the NBA made it real.
I think right now for the next year, let's call it, it's going to be, you need to learn how to use it. This will be your window to get efficient. Even in my own company, if you're not actively trying to find a way to integrate it into your job function, I'm already looking at you sideways. A year from now, if you're not really good at either documenting how it is completely useless in your job function or showing how you're using it, we will find somebody that can do it. All right, I want to paint a very beautiful story for people, and I want them to understand, look, I don't think this is a completely controllable thing, but that the biggest opportunities come in moments of disruption.
Yep.
And the reason I want to lay out the problem set is because I really believe that certainly at the individual level, if you're thoughtful enough, you are going to be able to navigate your way through this. So talk to a young person out there right now. They're terrified. They want to be future-proofed. What do they do? How does somebody right now future-proof themselves?
They just throw themselves into this area. There are so few people actually doing it that if you go into this area with all your might and curiosity and a genuinely open mind, you can actually have an effect on the future. Because everyone in your community will be using this. Everyone that you know will be using it if you're someone that listens to this podcast, And so you become a Schelling point. You become the expert in this area ahead of everyone. Because what happens is that anyone who gets into it now will have almost an unassailable advantage of people who come later. It's a kind of seniorage thing, right? Because you'll see it at the start. It is the start of the biggest change, I think, that we've ever seen. And again, think about what you're doing when you're typing in and seeing that, and think about 1 million of these things working. That even better. It's unavoidable. So I'd say you just have to get into it. You have to get passionate. You have to think about the bad stuff, but is that really your responsibility, right? I think it is, but focus on the good stuff and focus on the potential of what happens on the scales to make real positive change. It can be to your pocket, it can be to your community, it can be to your life, because it does affect everyone that you know. So I'd go with a positive mindset, leave it to boring old guys like us to think about all the doom scenarios.